Day 21. I'm going to continue to talk a little bit more about mental health because I think when you're in great physical pain or you're in chronic physical pain over a long period of time, there's no doubt there's mental health issues. You get discouraged, depressed, you can get addicted to the medication, you can just have all kinds of side effects of depression and anxiety because of the medications. Or you can get very discouraged as a caregiver as well. And there was a point in Hawaii where I felt very much discouraged, and it was really a sense of you should. And I did seek counseling when we came home, and that was very helpful, very, very helpful. I would highly recommend it. But one of the things my counselor did right away was she took out a sticky note page and she wrote the word should on it, and then she drew a circle with a slash, the no sign, and she said, do not should yourself, and don't let others should you. And I looked back, and that's what was happening. Here's some of the things, not necessarily specific to my situation, but what happens sometimes. You should exercise. You shouldn't nap. It will interfere with your sleep at night. You should get back to your normal routine. It will help you. You should be at that meeting. It's important, and you really believe in that. You shouldn't feel that way. And then you think, but I do feel that way. And my counselor also said this. She said, truth will equal peace. And lies and distorted thinking and distorted things said to you will equal pain. So if I'm feeling pain, mentally pain, sad, guilty, frustrated, likely it's not true. Because when it's the truth, there's peace. And so some of the distorted lies that I was believing as true were causing me pain. And one of them was that all the advice I was given was good. And that's not true. Some of the advice and some of the suggestions were good, but not all of them, because we're human and we don't know each other's needs, and we might say, this would be good for you, you should do that, but that would be good for us and not necessarily good for them. So we want to feel better if they do what we want, because that makes us feel better. And it's not that none of their advice is good. That's a distorted thinking too. I'm not going to listen to her because she's never right. That's not true. There were things that people suggested I do that were really good ideas. But it was up to me to choose whether it was good for me right then, or maybe later, or it wasn't good for me, but it might be good for someone else. So my exaggerated all or none thinking was a lie causing pain. Using the word sometimes their advice is good and sometimes it's not for me is the truth, and that was peace. Another thing that helped me was in looking at judging myself based on what people thought I should do, because I can choose. I can choose to take their advice, and I can choose to follow it, or I can choose not to. And I don't have to listen to should, and you could, and you ought to. If only you would do that, then I can choose. And I can do what I did back then, and I sometimes still do, is I take out a sticky note and I write the word should and I cross it out. Don't should yourself. and I work on not shoulding other people, which I do still, and then it comes to mind. Not needed, not good. Also, a distorted thought that was in me was that my feelings were the truth. That what I thought and what I felt was the truth. If I felt guilty, I was guilty. If I felt like a bad mom, I was a bad mom. And if I felt like I was insensitive or ungrateful, then I was insensitive and ungrateful. If I felt like I was lazy, then I was. But those things are not automatically true, what we feel. It can be based on we're exhausted and we are given feelings to help us to look a little deeper. But we're all human. We're all falling short. We all make good choices, we all make better choices, and we all make poor choices. And the truth is that other people's advice and their opinions are just that. Their advice and their opinion. Another thing that helped me was not to jump to conclusions. I was jumping to conclusions if someone said something to me or did something or didn't do something that I imposed on them more than was I assumed. If they acted a certain way, then I assumed they were judging me, or I assumed that, just assuming, never good. But when we assume something, it doesn't mean it's true. And when we assume, we have pain. And that's distorted. But when we realize that might be true, that might be what they meant, but it might not be, then there's peace. I needed to learn, and I'm still learning, but it helped me a lot. I cannot control other people's thoughts. I cannot control other people's feelings, and I cannot control other people's actions, but I can control my thoughts, and I can have a handle on my feelings, and I can control what I choose to do. I can listen to people's advice, and I can take it or leave it. If it's a gift, then I can use it if I feel it's helpful. And I can leave it, sit on a shelf if it might be helpful later. Or I can regift it. It might be better for someone else than me. But it doesn't mean I'm bad or good. And I also can say no as a complete sentence. I don't have to give a reason why, because sometimes it's so complicated. Why I don't want to go, why I can't do it today, why I do not want to, or why I can't, even if it's good. Because we're all so very complicated, and the reasons we have in that moment are very complicated. I can't live someone else's life, and they cannot live mine. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Lean not on your own understanding, but to lean on the Lord and trust in Him." And so when I am leaning on my understanding of what people meant, or if I'm leaning on exaggerating, all good or all bad, or if I lean on my feelings and say, I'm guilty, I'm a bad mom, I shouldn't take a nap, all those things are relying on me and not the Lord. The next thing is make decisions based on all that I know at the time. Would I do things differently now than I did then? Yes, because I know things now that I didn't know then. I think it was Maya Angelou that said, and I might butcher the quote, but she said, when I knew better, I did better. When we know better, we do better. But we do the best we can in the time that we have based on all the complex things. And so I don't look back and need to feel guilty or shameful or condemned for what I did and didn't do. And you don't either. Because the truth is, we can make a choice based on everything that we know at the time. And we should not, I shouldn't say should, we do not have to make a choice based on pleasing people, which I am guilty and working on, reforming people pleaser. I don't have to say yes when I mean no, and the Lord brought that to mind and said to me, Linda, when you say yes and you mean no, you're lying. Do not lie. And when you say yes and you mean no, and you feel dread and regret, that's not from me. That's from the enemy. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, and I will turn all things to good if you trust me, even your bad decisions. The next thing is, just because I feel doesn't mean it's facts. And we rarely know all the facts. There's always something we don't know. No one can fully understand me because I don't even fully understand me. And everything that we make our decisions on, especially when we're grieving or in pain or in mental illness, it is based on it's so complex. Our decisions and our actions and our mistakes are all wrapped into all the complex. That's different. Even if my situation's similar to yours, it's not going to come out the same. And these phrases are manipulation, oftentimes wrapped in love. If you are struggling with this, any of this, people pleasing or to appease and to make sure you keep the peace, you're not going to say anything, or you're going to say yes when you mean no, even though that's a lie, and then you feel pain, I just urge you to read the Boundaries book, the original Boundaries book. When to say yes and how to say no. And it's just such a good book that I read almost several times a year because I reference it. It's good stuff. But these are manipulations wrapped sometimes in love. When you hear this, you need to do whatever. Please do this for me. Please consider this. I think you should. I think you need to. And what they don't say is, because it'll make me feel better if you do that for me. I don't know if it'll make you feel better, but it'll make me feel better, and I need to feel better. When we accept a gift, it's free to use or not use. So if someone gives you advice, it should be free. And if someone gives you an idea, it should be free to use or not use. You need to use my gift. You need to. Because I will feel better. But Jesus never did that. He offers freedom. He offers eternal life. He offers salvation to everyone. But he doesn't say, please, please, please. You need to, you should. He offers it and says, here's a gift. There's freedom, there's grace. But he let a lot of people walk away because freedom isn't free if it's coerced. So I just leave for you today, if you're the caregiver or if you're in a situation where well-meaning, loving people are telling you what you should do, get a sticky note out and write the word should and cross it out. Don't let it leave your lips, and if it does, it will. But it'll help you to remind yourself that doesn't do any good. I want you to recognize that part of the truth. Truth will give you peace of mind, and lies and distorted thinking will give you pain. Let there be peace. See you tomorrow.